We call our panel Charcha because we intend to discuss and debate on a topic. And today's topic is interesting because we're going to talk about Ramayana. But before I begin, let me introduce the interesting mix of panelists that we have today. Let me introduce first Dr. Bhagwan Das Patel, who's a known scholar and researcher of tribal folklore and literature. His lifelong mission is to bring about awareness among the Bhil tribal community and help them join the mainstream. He has been pursuing result-oriented work in 60 Bhil tribal villages of Gujarat and has worked as the honorary director for social change and awareness through art and cultural communication in tribal areas, a project which is run by MacArthur Foundation, Chicago, USA, and the Darpan Academy, Ahmedabad. He has made available tribal literature related to social and religious festivals of Bhil tribal community in about 1,500 audio cassettes. This is considered to be one of the most valuable contributions to Indian folklore, besides, of course, participating in International Folk Dance Festival twice during 84 and 87, and visited Israel, France, Spain, Belgium, England, and other European countries. He has written and published 43 books on Bhil tribal culture, society, folk literature, and prehistory, some of which are Gujrano Arela, Rathor Varta, Ram Sita Mani Varta, and Bhilonu Bharat. Bhilonu Bharat is now available in English, and Ram Sita Mani Varta has been translated in Hindi and just published, and is also going to be published in English soon. Interestingly, he has also given dance direction for folk dance in Manvi Nibhavai, a Gujarati film, and has received many awards, including Tribal Literature and Language Award in 1997, Bhasha Samman Award in 98, Ram Vriksh Venipuri Janma Shatabdi Samman in 2002, Vanvasi Sahitya Samman in 2002 again, and Tagore Literature in 2009, and Meghani Award in 2011. Dr. Patel, we are truly honored to have you in our panel. Let me introduce Reena Puri, who's the executive editor of Amar Chitra Katha and has been with the company since 1991. Earlier, she has worked with various newspapers, magazines, television production houses, and even become a radio jockey with the All India Radio for a short while till she discovered that writing comics was her forte. Reena was associate editor of Tinkle from 1991 and has worked with Sri Anand Pai till 2005. During these years, she learned from Sri Pai how to communicate effectively with children and use comics format to convey inspiration, encouragement, hope, and joy. In 2008, she took over as the editor of Amar Chitra Katha and has led the team in the revival of the series. She and her team created the 6-volume series of Valmiki Ramayana and also the recently released Mahadeva Stories from the Shiv Puran. Currently, she is engaged in creating a collection of stories and tell the mythology behind some of the rivers. She takes special interest in collating lesser known folktales from across India and putting them in comics format for children, particularly the stories from tribal communities. Reena has published short stories in the Illustrated Weekly of India, Femina, Imprint, Caravan, and with Pratham Books and the Children's Book Trust. 2 of her short stories have also been broadcast over BBC Radio. It's a pleasure to have you on the panel, Reena.
Thank you so much.
My next panelist is Dr. Aziz Tharuwana. Born in Tharuwana, Wayanad district, Dr. Aziz is MA PhD in Malayalam literature and has done his PhD in 2008 on the folk versions of epic stories of the Wayanad district. He has been the sub-editor of Mathrubhumi Daily and also the editor of the Kerala Language Institute and assistant director of the Institute of Tribal Studies and Research, Chittalayam, Wayanad under Calicut University. Currently, Dr. Aziz is the head of the Malayalam department at Farooq College, Calicut. Dr. Aziz has received the Ambedkar National Excellence Award for the book, The Ramayanas of Wayanad. He has published close to 15 books and edited 18 books for the Kerala Language Institute. He has also directed 2 documentaries, one of which is on the Wayanadam Ramayanam and has won the UGC National Award for the documentary. It's an absolute honor to have you grace this panel, Dr. Aziz.
Thank you very much.
So we'll discuss what we're going to talk about here. And I welcome you all for this panel discussion. The epic Ramayana is what we're going to talk about, and it's one of its kind. It's not just a text, it's a tradition that lives on not only in its numerous texts that we're going to talk about in a few of them, but also in various versions and retellings, and also in poems, paintings, sculptures, dance, performances, proverbs, and so on and so forth. Different tellings of Ramayana in India have included stories that often some conflict amongst each other. It is true that particular tellings have attained various degrees of dominance or popularity, be it the Valmiki version or the Kamban version or the Tulsi version, or even the Doordarshan version. Nevertheless, there have also always been contesting voices also. Where Hindu Ramayanas have predominated, Jain and Buddhist Ramayana poets have criticized or questioned these texts by producing their own tellings. Where male dominance has been prescribed in textual traditions, women's Ramayana songs have expressed alternative perspectives that are more in keeping with women's own concerns. The different versions of tellings express the cultural plurality of India. In this sense, Ramayana is not just a religious text, it's a social text that reflects the life of communities. Since we are going to be dealing for a subsequent part of our discussion on tribal versions today, I thought it might be relevant to understand the word tribal or the word Adivasi. The word Adivasi is the collective word for tribes. Adivasi means original inhabitants or natives to a particular place. The modern connotation to it might appear to imply backward, but we are not going to refer to anything about backward or modern. We are simply going to imply the real meaning, or we are going to stick to the real meaning, and that is the original inhabitants of a place. In today's discussion, what we are going to focus on is mainly understanding Ram through the tribal lens. How the many versions of Ramayana reveal the real nature of the hero. The panel will look at the ways the different Ramayanas have understood the story and its purpose. There is heroic spirit in all the characters, and we would like to help the audience see how this is true of Ram and the way the many Ramayanas see him. It is also interesting to see what the different versions and retellings of the stories have to say about the other characters like Sita or Lakshman, Kaikeyi, Bharat, etc. They've all been given a very, very different perspective in the regional and often the tribal versions. We would like the panelists to talk about them in their way as they see it best. I will begin with asking my first question to Dr. Bhagwan Das. भगवान दास जी, ये बताइए कि हमने काफी समय देखा है that हमारे काव्यों में एक पुरुष प्रधान प्रथा है. एक पुरुष आमतौर पे हमारे काव्यों में नायक है. जनरली हमने देखा है कि एपिक्स में नायक या तो राक्षसों को मारते हैं, या अगर हम वेस्टर्न एपिक्स देखें तो वो ड्रैगन्स से लड़ते हैं. आपके हिसाब से भील रामायण में एक नायक की क्या छवि है?
जो मैंने जो काम किया है वह उत्तर गुजरात के खीर ब्रह्मा तहसील में, और ये जो रामायण है उनको वो लोग रोम सीतमानी वार्ता के नाम से पहचानते हैं. अब ये सारी रामायण जब मैंने उसके बारे में तो काफी चर्चा भी हुई है, विवेचन भी हुआ है, किंतु सबसे बड़ी बात ये है कि रोम सीतमानी वार्ता ये राम की महत्ता का काव्य नहीं है, किंतु सीता के आत्मा परिचय का काव्य है. इसमें जो सीता का जो चरित्र है वह अत्यंत ओजस्वी रूप में हमारे सामने प्रकट होता है. यहाँ जो राम है वह आदिवासियों में महामार्गी साधु होते हैं वैसे ही है, और मानव वैरागी है वैसा हमें उनके चरित्र के माध्यम से जान सकते हैं. यहाँ राम और लक्ष्मण को वन में भेजने वाली कैकेयी है, दशरथ का उसमें कोई रोल नहीं है. और फिर राम ने स्वीकार कर लिया कि चलो उन्होंने कहा है तो हम चले जाएं, और सबको विमाता को पहले वह आशीर्वाद देते हैं, आशीर्वचन बोलते हैं, और माता को और फिर प्रजाजनों को, और वो वन में चली जाती। तो यहाँ समग्र परिवेश में हम देखते हैं तो एक साधु की तरह उनका व्यवहार है और वर्तन है।
ओके, तो हम सीता के बारे में आगे भी बात करेंगे, बट बिफोर दैट डॉक्टर अजीज, इफ आई मे कम टू यू, दैट we all know how the perception of hero has been in the prominent Ramayans, but what is your perception of Ram as a hero in the Wayanad Ramayana that you've studied so extensively, from the perspective or from the angle of a hero?
Okay. My PhD research topic was the folk versions of epic stories in Wayanad district. Wayanad is home to the largest number of tribals in Kerala. There are about 12 tribals in Wayanad district. As part of my research, I studied 12 tribals groups. There is a tradition of Ramayana story among the Adiya, Paniya, Kuruchia, and Mullu-Kuruma tribes, and among the few Dalit communities like Wayanadan Chetty, Mandadan Chetty, Edanadan Chetty, and Kushava and Kurava, and among the upper caste Hindus of Wayanad. The oral Ramayana tradition and the written Ramayana text tradition at the same time. Each of the many tribes in Wayanad had its own unique beliefs pertaining to Ramayana. Also, Ramayana plays a big role in the belief systems across the different sects and classes of Hindu religion. Most of such stories of the Ramayana were ones that rested on the frames of their religious belief systems. Even within a single sect, one can see various versions of a single story. It is worth nothing that a significant portion of such stories in held within landscapes of Wayanad. Sita and Lavakusha are the main characters in the Ramayana stories of Wayanad district. Their local deities are portrayed as characters in the Ramayana stories that exist between the Adiya tribe and the Chetty community. For example, in the oral tradition of the Ramayana, their deities Mallappan, Siddappan, Nenjappan, and Kottiyul Perumal and Tirunelli Perumal, Pakatheyyam also appear as characters. They do not consider these gods to be gods under Rama. The position of Rama is below that of these tribal gods. There is a special scene in Adiya Ramayana which is not found in any other Ramayana text. It is a scene where the tribal gods Rama and Lakshmana are tried in a tribal court. Tribal gods ask Rama in tribal court, Rama, should you leave your pregnant wife in the forest? Is it not the husband's duty to protect his wife, and so on? There is also a feature in the Adiya Ramayana that there is no war. Ravana is not a villain in the Adiya Ramayana. The deities are the protagonists in the Ramayana story told by the Dalit community of Wayanad and Chetty. The deities Adirugalan and Tamburati and so many local gods are examples. In general, Rakshasa and Asura characters appear in Wayanad. Rakshasa and Asura did not appear in the Wayanad and Ramayana stories. Sita and Lavagusha are the central characters in most of the stories.
Right. That's very interesting because, we are talking about prominently, we see Ram as the hero of Ramayana, but in both the cases that we just saw, that, he's really not the hero in either of the texts. So Rita, you worked extensively on Valmiki Ramayana, right? And Valmiki very clearly, I think it is, he had it very clear in his mind that Ram is going to be the hero. But tell me, I mean, does Valmiki have any other approach, or does he intend to see or glorify Ram beyond a point? What is your views about that?
No, in fact, when I was studying the Valmiki Ramayana and talking to the scriptwriter, I realized that there are so many instances where Sita comes out as a very strong woman. Valmiki doesn't portray her as meek or, quiet. In fact, when Ram tells her that stay behind at the palace and I will go, she fights with him. She says, what do you mean? Like, what did you marry me for? If you're going to leave me behind, I don't want to stay behind. Then in the forest, when Ram goes after the deer, she insists that she goes after Marich, and Lakshman tells her that I cannot leave you. When she hears that cry, she turns around and fires Lakshman literally, in such strong words, saying, "Oh, you had your eyes on me. Is that why you don't want to go? So now I know your ulterior motive." And like that, I find her a very strong woman in Valmiki's Ramayana. I don't find her meek and submissive at all. In fact, I mean, fine, it was written at a time when, women were supposed to be, sort of second to their husbands. But at the same time, I think in Valmiki's time, women were allowed to speak out, and therefore Sita does speak out in Valmiki's Ramayana.
Interesting, because traditionally, and I think the popular notion is that Sita's docile, kind of just follows instructions and just does whatever she's told. But that's not necessarily how we find Sita in the other versions also. जैसे डॉक्टर पटेल, एक और सवाल है कि रामायण की जो महिलाएं हैं जो वाल्मीकि संकरण में दिखाई गई है, या जो हमारे रीटेलिंग्स में हम कैसे देखते हैं उनको, जैसे अगर आप जैसे वाल्मीकि या जैसे हमारे मेन जो पॉपुलर वर्जन्स है, चाहे वो कंबन हो या तुलसीदास जी हो या चाहे वो हमारे दूरदर्शन हो, वो सब वर्जन ही लोगों को याद रहते हैं। उसके कंपैरिजन में आप मुझे बताइए कि भीलों में सीता को कैसा दिखाया गया है, और आपकी समझ में क्या टेलीविजन ने सीता की जो अभी की जो छवि है, क्या टेलीविजन रिस्पॉन्सिबल है सीता की ये छवि बनाने में? What is your opinion on this?
सबसे बड़ी बात तो वही है कि आदिवासी रामायण मातृसत्ता का जीवन मूल्य में से आविर्भूत हुई है। सबसे बड़ी बात वही है। और वाल्मीकि और व्यास के अनुसंधान में हम सोचते हैं तो वे पुरुष सत्ताक समाज के जीवन मूल्यों को अपनी राम कथा में आविर्भूत करने का प्रयत्न किया है। पुरुष होने के नाते यह अग्नि परीक्षा भी है। अग्नि परीक्षा के बाद भी लोगों ने अपवाद किया, विवाद किया, तो क्रूरता से सीता का त्याग किया, वैसा कोई प्रसंग भीली रामायण में नहीं है। इसका कारण वही है कि ये सीता का जो चरित्र है वह चरित्र मातृसत्ताक जीवन मूल्यों के आधार पर से ही आविर्भूत हुआ है। और परिणाम स्वरूप एक प्रसंग मैं आपको यहाँ बताता हूँ। यहाँ जो वनगमन होता है वह पहले होता है और स्वयंवर बाद में होता है, और सीता उसके साथ जाती है। और जब वन में जाती है तब पता चलता है कि ये तो ये दोनों राजकुमार निर्वासित हुए हैं। तो फिर समग्र परिस्थिति को भाप जाती है कि कोई बात नहीं, अब तो उनके साथ ही हमें रहना है। तो फिर राम तो वैसे ही वैरागी हैं, ये तो हाथ में माला लेकर रटने लगते हैं, और लक्ष्मण यहाँ ज्यादा सक्रिय है। तो फिर वह कहती है तेरा भाई तो ये माला रटने बैठ गया, किंतु अब तो उसके घर गृहिणी आई, तो गृहिणी को तो घर चाहिए, घर वखरी चाहिए, उसके लिए तो एकांत चाहिए। ये बात तेरे भाई को समझा। तो फिर वो दोनों झांपड़ी बनाने लगते हैं, लक्ष्मण और सीता। तो झांपड़ी बनाते बनाते वह थक जाते हैं। तो फिर वह कहती है कि तेरे भाई को बता कि हम भूखे हुए हैं, वन में से वन फल लेकर आ। और फिर राम वन फल लेने के लिए जाते हैं। वन फल ले जाने के बाद वो आते हैं तो वैसे तो वो दोनों श्रमित हो जाते हैं और सागों के पत्ते उड़कर दोनों सो जाते हैं। पवन आता है और पत्ते उड़ जाते हैं और दोनों अर्ध अनावृत हो जाते हैं। और जब राम वन फल लेकर आते हैं तो ये दृश्य देखकर वो आवेश में आ जाते हैं और क्रोधित होते हैं और लक्ष्मण को मारने के लिए आगे बढ़ते हैं। और इस आहट से सीता जाग जाती है। सीता कहती है रुक जा, जब आगे मत बढ़ और शांत हो जा। और फिर तू एक काम कर, एक हाथ से ताली बजा। राम एक हाथ से ताली बजाने का प्रयत्न करते हैं तो निष्फल जाते हैं। तो फिर सीता ने कि एक हाथ से ताली नहीं बजी ना। राम कहते कि ना, तो अब दूसरा काम कर, एक लकड़ी से आग प्रकट कर, घिसने के लिए दूसरी लकड़ी नहीं है। तो वह प्रयत्न करते तो उसमें भी निष्फल हो गए। तो एक लकड़ी से आग पैदा नहीं हुई ना। तो राम कहते कि नहीं, तो सुन, जब एक हाथ से ताली नहीं बजती है और एक लकड़ी से आग प्रकट नहीं होती है, तब एक शरीर से कुछ नहीं होता। तू समझ, तुझे मेरे पर विश्वास है ना। तो राम कहते हाँ, तो ये निकम्मी बातें छोड़ दे, अभी से कुआं घोड़ना है, उसमें लग जा। ये सीता का चरित्र है।
This is
That's
absolutely
amazing.
amazing.
Yeah.
तो ये ओजस्वी चरित्र का जो आविर्भाव हुआ है उसका प्रमुख कारण वही है। ये मातृसत्ताक जीवन मूल्यों में से ही सीता के का चरित्र का उद्घाटन हुआ है और उसका सर्जन हुआ है। जब हम तो फिर हम समझ सकते हैं कि यहाँ अग्नि परीक्षा की तो बात आती ही नहीं। ये तो राम कह नहीं सकते। एक ही बात में उन्होंने, सीता ने अपने जीवन चारित्र का प्रमाण दे दिया। और ये बातें तो फिर आगे चलेगी, फिर आगे बढ़ेंगे।
थैंक यू, दैट वाज अमेजिंग। आई मीन ये आप सोचिए कि हम जिसे आदिवासी कहते हैं, हम जिसे बैकवर्ड समझते हैं, look at the evolved thinking, look at the position that the tribe confers on this woman who can talk to her husband, challenge her husband. Dr. Aziz, I have a similar question. I mean, we saw a very, very independent and a rational thinker in the Bhil Sita. What is your views about a similar Sita, or what kind of a Sita do we find in Wayanad Ramayana? Is she as independent? Is she as vocal? Or is she as perceived in the popular understanding of Sita? No, you're on mute.
Okay. In Vayanadan Ramayana, this term, Vayanadan Ramayanam, it is a Malayalam word. The Ramayanas of Wayanad, it is English. Sita and Lavakusha is the main character. Sita is very strongest character in the Vayanadan Ramayana stories. Vayanadan Ramayana is not a single Ramayana. Here, different type of Ramayanas, different communities, especially tribal communities, telling different Ramayanas. So, Vayanadan Ramayanas. My book is named is The Ramayanas of Wayanad. Ramayanas, not Ramayana.
Right.
So Sita is different roles in the Ramayana stories. In other very interesting thing, the Muslims of Malabar region of Kerala are known as Mapla. The oral Ramayana is also in their own Ramayana is known as Mapla Ramayana, is very popular in Kerala. In its Shurpanaga is a powerful character. Similarly, in the Adivasi Ramayanas of Wayanad district, strongly opposing one thing, Kanjana Sida is a very popular Malayalam movie. It is the first epic film in India to be ready for a serious approach. In this film, G. Aravindan expresses the Vedic concept of natural male union. There have been very few films in Malayalam based on the Ramayana. At the same time, there are many serials in Malayalam based on Ramayana stories which are not up to standard. Okay.
Right. I mean, I'm reminded of a very interesting episode when I was reading your book, and even if you allow me to quote, there's a very interesting episode in one of the versions of the Ramayanas of Vayanad, is that, at the end of the story, when everything is over and, Sita, Ram realizes that, this is Sita who's been banished some time back, and Love Kush are his children, and he requests Sita to join him back and say, let's go back, come with me to Ayodhya. And Sita decides, okay, let's go back. And suddenly she stops and she says, okay, I'm willing to come, but will you give me a guarantee, that you will not throw me out of the house when somebody else makes a loose comment on me, like you did during the, based on this, statement that the Dhobi made. Now, interestingly, here is a character who's seeking guarantee, from Ram, saying that you won't throw me out of the house again. So you see, again, even in the Vayanad version, we find Sita to be an extremely vocal, extremely independent, and somebody who's got a mind of her own. So coming to you, Reena, of course, you've already expressed just now that Sita is not the docile kind of a character that we have seen in the popular versions. But the mindset of people has probably been affected by the numerous versions which are popular, right? Now, not many are aware of, let's say, the Vayanad or the Bhil or, the others, because popularity is gained elsewhere. Do you think, that the popular versions or the depictions on television or on screen has had to do something with this kind of a notion?
Yes, I think so. I mean, actually, the Tulsi Ramayana is very popular.
Mm-hmm.
Tulsidas Ramcharitmanas is so popular, and people, I know my own friends in UP and in the North, they just love the Ramcharitmanas, and they read it much more, during functions and all. It's the Tulsi Ramcharitmanas which is actually put in front, and they know it by heart, literally. And that was, I think, written in around the 15th century.
16th century.
Yeah, I think so. So you can imagine the patriarchal society had definitely set in completely. And what Tulsidas ji was portraying was what was the society at that time. In fact, I think that a bit about the Lakshman Rekha comes only in the Tulsi Ramayana, and I didn't find it in the Valmiki Ramayana.
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
So, those setting a limit to women, holding them back, all those notions came in much later than, the earlier versions. Yes, definitely. And then again, the portrayal on Doordarshan, as you say, where Sita hardly speaks a word. She only has a smile on her face all the time. That also a certain kind of smile only. So, that reinforces the whole image of a very docile person. And it definitely has had an impact on the way people look at the Ramayana. And there also has to be a certain acceptance, that apart from Valmiki and Tulsi Ramcharitmanas, there are other versions. There is a kind of resistance to that, accepting that kind of a thing, that, okay, there are so many people in our country, there are diverse cultures, there are diverse thoughts, and each of these minds will think about it in a different way. And being able to take all of them in and grasp them and accept them, I think that is what is the need of the hour. And, people like Dr. Patel and all are working towards it, I think, by popularizing these other versions, the tribal versions.
Right, right. But tell me, when people know, I mean, we all know that there are many versions, right? Then why aren't people accepting it? That there are so many versions. Let's accept it rather than get stuck to, let's say, only Tulsidas's version or only one particular version.
Yeah.
So
after I finished doing the Valmiki's Ramcharitmanas, which took me about 6 years to complete, actually, it's a huge volume. Then I brought out this comic called Rama's Ring. You know,
Uh-huh.
it's stories from different versions of the epics.
Wow.
So we've got a story from Sarla Das's Odia
Mm.
version. We've got from some folklore of Central India. We've got one from the Gond Ramayan. So we had put all these stories together, and they gave us different heroes in each of them. Most of them, Sita is the primary character, and in the Gond Ramayan, it is again
Yes.
Sita who actually rescues Lakshman. So, but when we brought this out, there were, of course, the majority of people loved it and have said that it's really the right step. And we this bringing it to children specially, and letting them know that there are so many thoughts in our country which we felt was very important, that has been accepted by a large majority. But there
Mhm.
were always a few dissenting voices saying, what rubbish are you putting in? What rubbish are you teaching the children? This is not true at all. You cannot distort facts.
Mhm.
So we've had those kind of comments as well, that this kind of a version is a distortion of facts, not
Mhm.
just accepting that it's a people who are, giving their thoughts.
Yeah, so true. And I can understand because, we faced quite a few, if I can use the word resistance, on certain topics that we would have selected during our talk. So I completely kind of relate to that. डॉक्टर पटेल, एक और आखिरी सवाल मैं आपसे पूछना चाहता हूँ कि क्या लगता है आपको कि हमारे पास इतने रामायण, इतने संकरण, इतने रीटेलिंग्स, इतने वर्जन्स क्यों है, और क्या इसके इतने वर्जन्स होने का क्या इस काव्य को ज्यादा स्वीकार्य बनाया है इतने सारे वर्जन्स होने का?
आपकी बात सही है कि हमें अलग अलग संस्करण मिलते हैं, तो हर एक ने, जब नागर की बात हम बताएं, नगर जीवन की, तो उन्होंने राम को मर्यादा पुरुषोत्तम के रूप में स्वीकार किया है, उनको भगवान के अवतार के रूप में स्वीकार किया है। जब ये ग्रामीण प्रदेश में प्रविष्ट हुई रामायण, तो ग्रामीणों ने अपने सुख दुख में सहभागी राम और सीता और उनके समग्र परिवार को स्वीकारा है। और जब वही रामायण आदिवासी प्रदेशों में प्रविष्ट हुई, तो वे अपने ही संबंधी के रूप में उन्होंने स्वीकार किया है। ये मानो अपने ही चरित्र हैं, हमारे ही साथ जीने वाले चरित्र हैं, ये हमसे अलग नहीं है। ऐसे एक समान धरा पर लेकर ये आदिवासी समाज आया है। राम कथा और आदिवासी के इतिहास के अनुसंधान में हम जाने तो आदिवासियों तो बहुत से पहले है, वह प्राग इतिहास काल से है, और रामायण तो बाद में आने वाली घटना है। तो ऐसी परिस्थितियों में आदिवासियों ने जो राम का जो स्वीकार किया है, वह अपने स्वजन के रूप में स्वीकार किया है, और वो अभी भी उनके साथ जीते हैं। जो गायक हैं, वह गायक जो कथा लेता है, वह परंपरा में से लेता है। वैयक्तिक जो सर्जक होता है, वह अपनी कल्पना के माध्यम से काव्य का सर्जन करता है। यह बहुत पुरानी परिस्थितियों में से, अपने जीवन के जीवन मूल्यों से, अपने जीवन के जीवन दर्शन में से ये अपने जो योग्य लगते हैं वही प्रसंग वह अपनी रामायण में ढालते हैं। और ऐसी परिस्थिति में जब हम विलो की रामायण के अनुसंधान में सोचें, तो ये चरित्र आज भी उनके साथ जीते हैं। मैं आपको एक उदाहरण दूं कि राम सीता की वार्ता का जो प्रसंग है, वह प्रसंग जब खत्म हुआ तो उसके जो गायक थे नवजी भाई खाट करके, और उसकी सहायक गायिका है, उनकी वी माता है। वो 5 वर्ष तक मैं उनके साथ रहा तो पता नहीं चला कि उनकी वी माता है। इतना उनके साथ परस्पर संबंध था। तो उस गायिका को मैंने प्रश्न किया कि आई माता, ये कथा आप हर रोज नहीं गाती? तो वह अत्यंत भाव सबल हो गए। उसने कहा कि कथा गाने से उसमें जो देवते लोग हैं न, वह दुखी हो जाए, क्योंकि उसके साथ करुण प्रसंग है और उनको दुख पड़े वह हमसे भी देखा न जाए, इसीलिए हम भी दुखी हो जाए और जो सुनने वाले हैं वह दुखी हो जाए। ये गाने के बाद और सुनने के बाद लोग तो अपने अपने घर चले जाएं, और जब मैं अकेली हो जाऊं तब मुझे ये देवते लोगों की याद आए, ये देवों की याद आए, और मेरी आंखों में से श्रावण और भादो बरसने लगे।
अरे वाह।
तो ये नाता उनके साथ का। और फिर मैंने कहा तो फिर आपने तो पूरी कथा गाई, आप तो बोलती कि मैं पूरी कथा गाती ही नहीं, तो आपने तो गाई, पूरी कथा आपने तो गा दी। तो उन्होंने कहा कि मेरे 5 बेटे हैं और ये सब मेरे पाप में से पैदा हुए हैं। एक तू है जो मेरे मन धर्म का बेटा है, सत्य का बेटा है। तू खेर ब्रह्मा गांव से आता है और जब मेरे पास बैठता है तब बारिश में घास डोलने लगती है, वैसे मेरी आत्मा खुशी से डोलने लगती है। तूने कहा इसीलिए मैंने पूरी कथा गाई, नहीं तो ये कथा मैं गाती ही नहीं। तब मुझे मेरी धर्म की माता का दर्शन हुआ, वैसी अनुभूति हुई। तो इस तरह ये उनके चित्त में जो कथा है उसको प्राप्त करना है, वह अत्यंत कठिन बात है। उनके साथ जब हम संबंध जोड़ते हैं तब ये अनेक दिनों के साथ वो गाती है। ये समग्र कथा मैंने 300 ऑडियो कैसेट पर ध्वनि मुद्रित की है और इतने समय पर उन्होंने गाया है। तो ये नाता जब संजोषक के साथ जुड़ता है तब ये रामायण हम प्राप्त कर सकते हैं।
वाह, दिस इज अमेजिंग, क्योंकि इतना सारा इन्वॉल्वमेंट है आपका उनके साथ और इतना क्लोज आपने उनको इतनी नजदीक से देखा है। एंड आई मीन इट्स एन एक्सपीरियंस। आई एम श्योर कि हम शायद किताब से ये एक्सप्रेस या समझ ना पाए, बट आई मीन आप जब बोलते हैं तो हमें समझ में आ रहा है कि व्हाट यू मस्ट हैव एक्सपीरियंस्ड। आई मीन बट नॉनदलेस हम फिर भी चाहेंगे कि हम ये किताब तो डेफिनेटली पढ़ें, सो दैट एटलीस्ट जो आपने लिखा है वो तो हम समझे। शायद हमें आपका एक्सपीरियंस ना हो, बट आपकी बात हम डेफिनेटली यू नो एक्सप्रेस नाउ दैट यू आर सेइंग, हम कर सकते हैं उसको। Dr. Yeah. So Dr. Aziz, you know, we just spoke about the experience, you know, that one goes through when one is either recording or one is interacting. So you would have also kind of interacted with these people whose stories you have recorded so meticulously and so articulately. What do you want to tell us about the popularity of, you know, these versions and the epic per se? What do you think is the numerous versions doing for the popularity of the epic?
A.K. Ramanujan, in his essay, 300 Ramayanas, 5 examples and 3,000 translations, narrates a folk tale about Hanuman who reached the netherworld in search of Rama's ring, which had been lost. The ruler of the netherworld and the king of the spirits placed a platter with many rings before Hanuman. All the rings in the platter belonged to Rama. Hanuman was bewildered. Seeing this, the king of the spirits told him, "There have been as many Ramas as there are rings on this platter. Whenever an incarnation of Rama is about to be over, his ring falls down. I collect them and keep them." The spirit king asked Hanuman to choose his Rama's ring. Moreover, he also informed him that Hanuman's Rama, having entrusted the kingdom of Lava and Kusha, had entered into the water of the Sarayu river. Like the rings of Rama, There are innumerable Ramas. There are multiple texts of the Ramayana in the written form as well as the oral traditions. All these texts, both written and oral, are tributary revolutes entering the great river of the Ramayana. Modern Ramayana scholars reject as absurd the centralization that among these multi-form Ramayana traditions, some are high and some low. They consider the multi-form nature of the Ramayana not as a limitation, but as its immense scope. Influences of Ramayana is prevalent among Hindus, Buddhists, Jains, Muslims, and tribal communities. Each community deconstructed the Rama story and made it their own. The Ramayana has spanned text and textual variations with diverse points of view. There have been caste, Dalit, tribal, and feminist interpretations. Very interesting thing, the local oral and written text, including the Ramayanas of Wayanad, question and dismantle the argument about a single Ramayana. Sita must have been the first person to realize the uh, plurality of Ramayana. There is a scene, the Ayodhya Kanda of the Adhyatma Ramayana of Edutachan. Sita insists that she go with Rama into the forest. She is not deterred by the hardships she may have to face during the long stay in the forest. Finally, Sita says, രാമായണങ്ങൾ പലവും കവിവര രാമോദമോട് പറഞ്ഞു കേൾപ്പുണ്ട് ഞാൻ ജാനകിയോട് കൂടാതെ രഘുവരൻ കാനനവാസത്തിനെന്ന് പോയിട്ടുള്ളൂ. Means I have heard Ramayanas composed by several poets. Has the great Rama ever gone to the forest without Sita? This question in Adhyatma Ramayana, Ayodhya Kanda. In other words, as water that flows through each soil picks up and mingles with its color, the myths and spread through each land and community mingled and flowed with the symbols of that land and community. Time will create newer and newer Ramayanas. This is because the society is consistently, endlessly conversing and debating and sometimes quarreling with the Ramayana. All these serve to enrich the canon of Ramayana literature. Just as the unity of the society from its diversity, the mythological tales to expresses such diversity and unity. The Ramayana had always existed as a polyphonic culture. Therefore, the one Ramayana debate is contrary to the Ramayana and its encroachment upon the every culture of the Ramayana. This is my very short answer.
That's so beautifully expressed, that the story very clearly says that is there any Ramayana where Sita has not gone with Ram? And that itself is sort of proof to the fact that within Ramayana itself we find that there are many versions of Ramayana, right? Coming to you, Reena, I know you are in a business of telling people more and more stories. Having said that, and having got the mindset of a significant part of young people, I can also see that you guys did try it out, trialing the other versions. But don't you think that more and more these stories, though not acceptable in the present circumstances, an alternate version or a different version, do you think we need to tell these stories more often, however, contrarian it sounds, for people to kind of appreciate that this is a text which is very different and, we need to
and
tell
needs to be respected
and
needs to
respected,
be
absolutely.
accepted. Yeah,
Yes.
of course, 100%. I agree with you. And I would like to, in fact, connect with Dr. Patel and Dr. Aziz and get more stories
You
so that I
should.
can, tell them to children. I can expose them to more and more different versions of the Ramayana. I would look forward to connecting with them because it is absolutely important. It's so imperative that young people grow up with a broader mindset to learn to accept each other. It's a huge country, it's a diverse culture, and we have to, and we live with each other. So we have to accept what another person thinks. We can't just block them off like that.
Right.
So, it's a very, very necessary at the moment.
I mean, if Amar Chitra Katha does collaborate with Dr. Patel and Dr. Aziz, we will think that's a huge achievement of mythological. With that, I would like to sum up. It's been great. It's been a great discussion here, and I would just like to sum up that Ramayana is not just an epic. It's second language in India. Nobody ever reads the book as such, but everybody knows about it, and that's the beauty of epics in our country. This has made Ramayana more accessible to different kinds of people with different ideologies and different agendas. There's something there for everyone, even for the people that we disagree with. The well-known historian Romila Thapar has said something very interesting, and I quote, "The Ramayana does not belong to any one moment in history, for it has its own history, which lies embedded in many versions which were woven around the theme at different times and places," unquote. My personal take on this is, besides what lovely interaction and lovely stories that we heard today, is that Ramayana is a living tale. Let it live. Let's not kill it by having it converted into a touch me not text. It's a beautiful tale. It survived thousands of years. It survived thousands of years because debate, discourse, and discussion was allowed. And we need to continue doing that. Thank you very much. With this, I would like to individually and personally thank each one of you for this very, very scintillating discussion today. And with this, I open up the discussion for questions, if any. If there are any questions, please put it on the chat box and I will take them up. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
डॉक्टर पटेल, पहला सवाल मैं आपको पूछना चाहता हूं कि किसी ने ये पूछा है कि क्या ट्राइबल रामायण, ये जो आदिवासी रामायण है, वो अभी भी मौखिक फॉर्म में ही है क्या? और अगर ऐसा है तो ये वर्जन्स अपने समय के हिसाब से कितना इन्फ्लुएंस बाहर से लिया होगा उन्होंने?
एक बात तो हुई है कि ये आदिवासियों की मौखिक परंपरा है और वे अपने साधुओं के पास से प्राप्त करते हैं, अपने गुरुओं के पास से, और वह पीढ़ी दर पीढ़ी ये कथा आगे बढ़ती है। इसमें भाषा की दृष्टि से परिवर्तन होते हैं, बोलने के ढंग से, क्योंकि जो कथा होती है उसमें वो परिवर्तन नहीं कर सकते। उसका कारण वही है कि सारी कथा धार्मिक अनुष्ठान के साथ जुड़ी हुई होती है और परिणाम स्वरूप यदि कोई गायक उसको बदले तो इकट्ठा जो समाज है उसको स्वीकारता नहीं है। और परिणाम स्वरूप ये कथा मूल रूप में ही आगे बढ़ती है।
Right. Okay. So another question for Reena. I'm sorry. Why are women always fair-skinned and asuras dark in Amar Chitra Katha depictions? Will this change in the future comics?
It's already changed if you haven't noticed it. When these comics were made some 30, 40 years ago, there were only 26 colors on a palette. It was also a time when evil was depicted as dark and, good was depicted as light, as fair. So in all mythologies, in all stories, in all fairy tales, you had the ugly witch, you had the, evil the presence. It was all very dark. And the good always came with light. But today we realize that that is, just not the correct depiction, and we have changed. And please note that all our books today, be it the Valmiki Ramayana, be it all the Shiv Puran, now we are depicting the characters as they have been described. So Parvati is supposed to be dark, and we have depicted her as dark in the Shiv Puran. Shiv is supposed to be fair. Earlier we used to, show him as purple for whatever reason, but now we show him as just fair-skinned. So things have changed. The Rakshasas are no longer all dark. They are all shades of brown and white and fair and everything. Ravan himself is extremely handsome. He was supposed to be a handsome man. So all the current books do go with the current, sensitivity to color and things like that. So please read the latest Amar Chitra Kathas and see the change.
That's really nice. I mean, yeah, we have to change with times.
Yes, of course.
पटेल, एक सवाल है कि आपको ऐसा क्यों है भीलों की जो रामायण है कि सीता इतनी स्ट्रांग है, जबकि आमतौर पे हमने सीता को इतनी स्ट्रांग नहीं देखा।
नहीं देखी, सही बात है, क्योंकि ये सबसे बड़ी बात वही है कि उनके समाज का जो जीवन दर्शन है उसमें से ये सीता का चरित्र आविर्भूत हुआ है। जैसे आदिवासी समाज में स्त्री ज्यादा स्वतंत्र होती है, और इसके अलावा जैसे कि कोई स्त्री विधवा हो जाए तो वह उसके उसी ही घर में दूसरा पति ला सकती है, किंतु घर की जो मालकिन होती है वह स्वयं होती है। एक दूसरी बात वह है कि उनका महामार्गी पाठ होता है, और महामार्गी पाठ में स्त्री गुरु के स्थान पर होती है, और सभी जो लोग इकट्ठे हुए हैं उसका जो आदेश है वह स्वीकारना पड़ता है। माता की मृत्यु के बाद उसके एक अस्थि एक कुंभ में रख कर घर में ही हित देवी की रूप में वो स्थापना करते हैं। तो कहने का है वही है कि ये उनकी जो सीता है वह सीता उनके समाज के जीवन दर्शन में से ही आविर्भूत हुई है, और ये जो सभी लक्षण है वह सही अर्थों में ये मातृसत्ता समाज में से ही आविर्भूत हुए हैं, और परिणाम स्वरूप ये सीता अत्यंत ओजस्वी रूप में यहाँ प्रकट होती हुई हम देख सकते हैं। इससे भी ज्यादा द्रौपदी इससे भी ज्यादा स्ट्रॉन्ग है, किंतु यह हमारा विषय नहीं है, ये बात यहाँ जोड़ते हैं।
Okay. There's a question for you, Reena. The Sita immolation story is a part of Valmiki Ramayana, or is it added later with the Love Kush story?
Immolation or her going into the earth?
Agni Pariksha. I think the person is referring to Agni Pariksha.
Agni Pariksha. See, there is a debate on whether the the last Kand, that is Uttarakhand, was added later. So there are scholars who are, discussing that, and they feel that the first 5 Kands were written by Valmiki. In fact, even part of Balkand and the later Uttarakhand have been added later on through the years. So that is a matter of debate. That's a matter of, people to infer. So, and Tulsi Das ji had it in his Ramcharitmanas because, time had passed by then. But it is said that it was in Valmiki's, he did not include it. But there is Agni Pariksha in the, when she's just come from Ravan, she comes away from Ravan. And then Ram says that you have to go through fire. So there is a scene over there like that. But not when the Love Kush episode happens. So that is still under debate, yes.
भगवान दास जी, इनका सवाल आपको भी है कि क्या ऐसी कोई एपिसोड है भीलों के रामायण में जहां सीता को अग्नि परीक्षा देनी पड़ रही हो?
ना, ऐसे नहीं है। उसका कारण वही है कि आरंभ में ही सीता ने वन में ही सही बात बता दी थी चरित्र के अनुसंधान में। तो राम समझ सकते थे कि उसका जो चरित्र है हमेशा पवित्र ही रहेगा, और इसमें कोई प्रकार की चारित्र की दृष्टि से कभी भी क्षति नहीं होगी, वैसा राम को सही अर्थों में विश्वास था। इसीलिए उसमें अग्नि परीक्षा जैसी कोई बात नहीं है। वैसे सीता भी समझती है कि रावण के पास वह रही है, तो अपने नाभि तक उसने पत्थर रखे थे और वह वैसे चंपा के वृक्ष के नीचे ही रही थी। और रावण भी यहाँ राक्षस के रूप में उसका चित्रण नहीं हुआ है, वह मानवीय है। और सीता ने कहा कि मैं तो वन में ही रही हूँ, इसलिए मैं बाग में ही रहूंगी, तो उसने स्वीकार किया था। और दूसरी बात वह है कि उसको घबराने के लिए, डराने के लिए कोई राक्षसियों का इंतजाम उसने नहीं किया था। तो इन अर्थों में ये जो आदिवासी समाज का जो जीवन दर्शन है, धर्म दर्शन है, उसमें इस प्रकार की बातें नहीं आती हैं। और एक बार सीता को भी वन में जाना पड़ता है, किंतु ये कौशल्या और दोनों के बीच में झगड़ा हुआ था और कौशल्या ने उसको सही अर्थों में वन में भेजा था। फिर उसका एहसास हुआ तो फिर से उसको वापस बुलाया और समाज के साथ और लोगों के साथ, बाजों के साथ फिर उसने गुरु प्रवेश किया और करवाया। और फिर वह अपना जीवन साथ में ही उन्होंने व्यतीत किया। तो ये उनके जीवन का दर्शन है, उनका धर्म का दर्शन है।
Reena, there's a question for you. Before Amar Chitra Katha, the depiction of Sita was very different. But in the comics, we see her as a damsel, more like a heroine than the ideal figure. Has the comic changed our view of women in epics?
You know, I've been asked this multiple times, and I always tell my readers that, you know, earlier on we had artists like Ram Bairkar and Pratap Mullik who took their inspiration from, Raja Ravi Verma or from temple sculptures. There was a description of women given in those, in the ancient texts, and the way the women were sculpted in the temple. The way Raja Ravi Verma drew them, and of course the artist's own impression of them.
Yeah.
So they created them with a certain, image in their minds. So Mr. Vaikar would have a very, shapely kind of a figure. Pratap Mullik maybe not so much, but still they made the women attractive according to how they saw it. So I mean, if today we are, I don't know, it's maybe some sort of middle class morality that we judge these things, that we say that, you shouldn't be showing so much flesh or whatever it is. But we do sort of, I always tell my artists, just clothe them a little more. And, so that there are some sensitivities today who object to such things. But remember that earlier on, there was no such barrier. Nobody looked at it like that. It was art for them, and, it was appreciated.
Right.
So that's how the art has grown in Amar Chitra Katha. I mean, it's changed a little bit today, but earlier it was just, following the formula, the old formula.
डॉक्टर पटेल, एक सवाल यहाँ पे और आपके लिए है कि ये रामायण के इतने सारे वर्जन्स क्यों हैं? आपको क्यों लगते हैं कि इतने सारे वर्जन्स हैं? हम हर जगह पे, हर प्रांत में, हर ज्योग्राफी में एक रामायण का वर्जन सुनते हैं। आपके हिसाब से ये क्यों है?
इसका प्रमुख कारण वही है कि हर एक प्रदेश ने और हर एक समाज ने अपने जीवन दर्शन के अनुसार ही उस कथा को डाला है, और परिणाम स्वरूप इतने वर्जन हमारे सामने आते हैं। वैसे आप हमें यह देखा कि सीता और रावण और लक्ष्मण, वह हम देखें तो उनके साथ ही रहते हैं मानो। वैसे सीता अपने पिता के घर थी, तब किसानों का पाथे देने के लिए भी जा सकती थी। तो ये आदिवासियों के अनुसंधान में जब सोचते हैं तो ये उनके साथ ही रहने वाले, उनके जैसे ही वो चरित्र हैं। अब वैसे यही कथा यदि ग्राम्य प्रदेश में या ग्रामीण प्रदेश में जाती है तो वह सुख दुख के साथी बन जाते हैं, और फिर वह शहर में जाते हैं तो एक गरिमा, एक महिमा के रूप में वह प्रकट होती है, और राम वह पूर्ण पुरुषोत्तम के रूप में हमारे सामने प्रकट होते हैं। तो इस तरह हर एक समाज ने अपने ढंग से, अपने जीवन के जरिए से, अपने जीवन की पद्धति से, अपने जीवन के दर्शन से ही इस कथा को डाला है, और परिणाम स्वरूप इतने वर्जन, इतने पाठांतर हमें मिलते हैं।
बिफोर वी वाइंड अप, हमारे पास समय कम है, बट एक सवाल मैं आप दोनों को पूछना चाहूंगा जो कॉमन है। क्या रामायण और महाभारत हमारे बच्चों को स्कूल में पढ़ाना चाहिए? डॉक्टर पटेल, आप पहले बताइए।
वह इसीलिए जरूरी है कि जो आदर्श हैं, जो जीवन की पद्धतियां हैं, जो आने वाली पीढ़ी को हमें मानवीय बनाना है और एक तंदुरुस्त समाज की रचना करनी है, तो ये कथा परम आवश्यक है। यदि हम उससे दूर हटेंगे तो फिर धीरे धीरे हमारे जो बच्चे हैं वह हमारे सामने मानो एक टीवी या एक कंप्यूटर के रूप में उनका जीवन को वो डालेंगे। यदि ये कथाओं का आदर्श हम स्वीकारेंगे तब ही एक मानवीय समाज, एक संवेदनशील समाज हमारे सामने आएगा। नहीं तो ये बातें कैसी होगी ये भी हम समझ सकते हैं। हमारे बच्चे एक रूप में, एक परिस्थितियों में, ऐसी विषम परिस्थितियों में गुजरेंगे तो ये समाज तंदुरुस्त नहीं हो सकेगा।
Very well said. Thank you, Dr. Patel. आपने काफी अच्छी तरह से समझाया. But Reena, what about you? What do
Yes,
you?
I agree 100% with what Dr. Patel has said. It teaches us values and ideals, but also these are stories that belong to our country. They are stories that belong to our heritage. It's a common heritage. It doesn't matter where you come from, which community, which state, which background. These stories are our common heritage, a common treasure. So without thinking of them as religious texts, let's just accept them as stories from our heritage and tell them to our children. Because as Dr. Patel says, they teach so much. They're so valuable. So why lose those values? It's very essential that we include them in our, school curriculum.
With that, I think let that be the last word in this debate. That let it be a text of values. Let it be a social document. Let it be a social text. And let's not make it a religious text. And as I said earlier, let's not put it in a box where we can't touch it. Let's keep it live. Let's keep it open. Let's debate. Let's discuss. With this, thank you very much, Reena. Thank you very much, Dr. Patel. आप लोगों ने आज बहुत इंटरेस्टिंग बातें की हैं, and I'm sure हमारे ऑडियंस अभी भी सवाल आ रहे हैं. Unfortunately, मैं ले नहीं पा रहा हूँ. So what we will do is हम ये सवाल आपको बाद में भेजेंगे, and we will post these questions on our Facebook and website. Thank you very, very much for joining us. And with this, we end the Ramayan panel discussion, and we now move on to the last of our Kissa Kahani. Stay tuned, and we have Patrick Graham joining us.
Thank you.
In a few moments. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.